A colossal stone wall stands silent in a distant jungle, its builders lost to time. This mystery repeats across the globe, from the high Andes to remote Pacific islands, forming a vast, ancient grid. These are not isolated ruins but pieces of a single, planet-spanning puzzle that challenges our entire understanding of early human history. By the end of this journey, you will see the map of our past redrawn, connecting dots between continents you never knew were linked. Who possessed the knowledge to engineer such precise, enduring structures separated by vast oceans, and what catastrophic event or forgotten purpose united their efforts? What does it mean for our story if civilizations were exchanging ideas thousands of years earlier than we ever believed? How does the idea of a completely unknown chapter in human history change your view of the world? These structures form a network so vast it defies simple explanation. We call it the global stone grid, a web of megalithic stoneworks scattered across every continent. From the immense walls of Sacsayhuaman in Peru to the haunting stone circles of Britain and the raised platforms of Nan Madol in the Pacific, these sites are not random ruins. They are connected by a hidden design. The most striking link is their construction. Across thousands of miles, builders used a technique known as polygonal masonry, carving gigantic stones to fit together without any mortar. The joints are so precise that you cannot slide a piece of paper between them, a feat of engineering that has kept these walls standing for thousands of years. How could cultures separated by entire oceans develop the exact same solution with the same breathtaking precision if they were not sharing knowledge? Local oral histories only deepen the puzzle. In region after region, the stories are the same. The local people say they did not build these structures. They tell of gods or of giants or of a first people who possessed great knowledge and created these places in a time long forgotten. This suggests that when our known history begins, these monuments were already ancient mysteries. The grid is not just a collection of similar rocks. It is a ghostly fingerprint left on the planet by a lost chapter of human ambition, pointing toward a unified purpose we are only beginning to perceive. Beneath the clear, turquoise waters of the Bahamas, a silent road stretches into the blue. Known as the Bimini Road, this formation is a line of massive, rectangular stone blocks resting on the seafloor, running for over half a mile. Discovered in the late 1960s, its perfectly aligned blocks and sharp 90-degree corners look unnervingly like a paved causeway. The central debate has raged for decades. Is this a miraculous feat of natural geology or the sunken engineering of a forgotten people? Geologists who argue for a natural origin describe it as beakrock, a type of stone that can fracture into seemingly geometric shapes. Yet the sheer consistency of the blocks and their precise arrangement pose a powerful challenge to that idea. The stones are made of a specific limestone not found in the immediate vicinity, hinting they were moved to this location, a task requiring immense effort and planning. Local stories whisper of a time when this land was not underwater, of a great deluge that swallowed a powerful kingdom, echoes of the Atlantis legend that have clung to this site for generations. If human hands did shape these stones, the implications are staggering. It would mean a sophisticated culture with advanced knowledge of seafaring and monumental construction was active in the Atlantic thousands of years before Columbus. The Bimini Road does not stand alone. Its position appears to align with other mysterious points in the proposed global grid, suggesting it could be a drowned anchor in a vast, ancient network. Was this a harbor for legendary seafarers, or a ceremonial path leading to a temple the ocean now claims. The road beneath the waves offers no easy answers, only a compelling mystery that pulls us further into the grid's hidden design. Far from the sunken roads of the Bahamas, another anchor point in the global grid rises to a breathtaking altitude. Perched high above the ancient Inca capital of Cusco, the stone walls of Sacsayhuaman defy both time and tectonic forces. These are not simple stacked blocks, but a colossal, zigzagging puzzle of stone, where individual pieces can weigh as much as 200 tons. The sheer scale is humbling, but the true marvel lies in the microscopic details. The stones, each with its own unique, irregular shape, are carved to fit their neighbors so perfectly that not even the thinnest razor blade can find a gap between them. This is polygonal or ashlar masonry at its most advanced, a technique that creates walls without mortar that are actually more resilient than solid rock. The interlocking design acts like a shock absorber, allowing the entire structure to sway and settle during the powerful earthquakes that frequently shake the Andes instead of cracking and crumbling. How was such precision achieved with only stone hammers and bronze tools? The logistical challenge is just as staggering. How were these mammoth stones, quarried from miles away, transported up the steep mountain slopes and set into place with such exactitude, all without the wheel or strong draft animals? While credited to the Inca Empire, their own oral traditions introduce a profound mystery. They spoke of a time before their own reign, when a race of master builders, endowed with great knowledge and perhaps even supernatural aid, raised the foundational Cyclopean walls. The Inca, they said, were the inheritors, building upon a legacy they themselves could scarcely replicate. This aligns perfectly with the pattern we see across the world, where local cultures venerate these sites as the work of a lost, advanced people. Sacsayhuaman is more than a fortress, it is an astronomical observatory, its walls and niches aligned with the solstices, and its position carefully chosen to form a line with other sacred Andean sites. It feels like a single, powerful node in a continent-spanning network of sacred geography. The Spanish conquest, with its systematic destruction of indigenous knowledge, severed our direct connection to the builders' secrets. We are left with the stones themselves, a silent, monumental language we are still struggling to decipher. What profound understanding of mathematics, geology, and celestial mechanics vanished in that cultural cataclysm? The walls of Sacsayhuaman do not just guard a city, they guard a forgotten chapter of human ingenuity. Deep within the lush river deltas of Costa Rica, the global stone grid presents a puzzle of perfect geometry. Hundreds of stone spheres, some as small as a fist and others taller than a person, lie scattered across the landscape as if abandoned by giants. Carved from hard volcanic rock and sandstone, their surfaces are unnervingly smooth, their shapes approaching a perfect roundness that seems to defy the simple tools of their supposed creators. Discovered in the 1930s when workers cleared jungle for banana plantations, these orbs were pulled from the earth, silent and enigmatic. The largest of them weigh many tons, a testament to an immense and focused labor. While archaeologists link them to the Dikwis culture that thrived here centuries ago, the how and why of their creation remain deeply contested mysteries. How did a society without metal tools or advanced mathematics achieve such flawless symmetry, not just once but hundreds of times? The stones themselves offer no manual, only their silent, imposing presence. Their arrangement provides the most compelling clues. Many of these spheres were not found alone. They were discovered placed in deliberate formations, tracing lines, triangles, and circles across the ground. Some of these alignments correspond to the rising and setting of the sun during solstices or equinoxes, suggesting they functioned as a sophisticated astronomical calendar, marking the passage of seasons with silent, stone sentinels. Others may have outlined important territories or sacred spaces, their perfect forms signifying power, order, and a deep connection to the cosmos. The local Boruca people share stories that echo this celestial theme, speaking of a time when the spheres were used in powerful rituals to influence the weather or were physical remnants of a mythical, godlike race. The immense effort required to shape, polish, and transport these spheres from distant quarries through dense jungle points to a profound cultural obsession. This was not a casual art form, it was a central pillar of their identity and worldview, an investment in creating permanent, ideal shapes in a chaotic world. The spheres of Costa Rica introduce a new dimension to our global mystery. At sites like the Bimini Road and Sacsayhuaman, we see a mastery of straight lines, right angles, and polygonal fitting. Here, the obsession is with the curve, the sphere, the ultimate symbol of unity and celestial perfection. This is not a contradiction, but a variation on a theme, a different expression of the same underlying drive for precision and meaning. It suggests that the shared knowledge or the shared source of inspiration behind the global grid was not a rigid set of blueprints, but a set of profound principles about the universe, principles that could be expressed through zigzagging walls, sunken roads, or perfect stone balls. Why does this specific form appear with such importance here, so far from the megaliths of Peru or the Pacific? The spheres stand as a powerful, geometric whisper from the past, challenging us to understand the language of their perfect forms and their place in the vast, interconnected puzzle we are only beginning to see. Beneath the sun-drenched island of Malta, a different kind of stone mystery descends into darkness. The Hal-Saflieni hypogeum is not a structure built upward, but one carved downward, an entire subterranean world excavated from solid limestone over 5,000 years ago. This is not a simple cave or a single burial chamber. It is a labyrinthine necropolis sprawling across 3 intricate levels, a mirror image of the megalithic temples that stood above ground. Its creators hollowed out halls, chambers, and winding passages with astonishing precision, all without metal tools or, as far as we know, any artificial light beyond flickering oil lamps. The sheer volume of stone removed is a monumental task in itself, a feat of engineering that would be daunting even with modern machinery. But the hypogeum holds a secret more elusive than its construction. Certain rooms within the complex possess a mysterious acoustic property. Sound resonates here in a way found nowhere else, with specific frequencies, particularly a deep male voice, amplified and echoing throughout the chambers with an otherworldly intensity. This was not an accident. The shaping of the rock to create this effect demonstrates a sophisticated, perhaps even spiritual, understanding of sound and resonance. What was the purpose of this engineered soundscape? Researchers suggest these echoing halls may have been used for rituals, for chanting, or as an oracle chamber where voices, transformed by the stone itself, were perceived as messages from another realm. This deep, underground network connects to a broader pattern on Malta. The island is dotted with massive above-ground temples built from colossal stone blocks, all featuring the same advanced architectural knowledge, including corbelled ceilings that have survived for millennia. Local folklore does not attribute these wonders to ordinary people. The stories tell of a race of giants, beings of great stature and knowledge, who raised these sites before a great cataclysm reshaped the world. This echoes the familiar narrative we have encountered across the globe, where local traditions point to a lost master-building culture. The hypogeum's alignments add another layer of genius. Specific passages are oriented to channel the light of the solstice sunrise, illuminating the deepest darkness for a few precious moments each year. This reveals a profound connection to the cycles of the heavens, a celestial calendar written in stone and light deep within the earth. How did a Neolithic society, which we are told was focused on basic survival, conceive of and execute such a complex fusion of architecture, astronomy, and acoustics? The hypogeum stands as a powerful testament to the fact that the global stone grid is not only a network of surface landmarks. Some of its most significant nodes are hidden from the sun, places where the earth itself was sculpted into a place of power, memory, and mystery. It challenges the very timeline of human innovation, suggesting that a deep understanding of the planet's energies and the physics of sound was pursued in the shadows long before recorded history began. What ancient ceremonies unfolded in those echoing halls, and what knowledge was preserved in the silent, resonant dark? Beneath the waves off Japan's southernmost island, the ocean floor holds a secret that blurs the line between geology and architecture. The Yonaguni Monument is a colossal formation of sandstone, a sprawling complex of terraces, walls, and platforms resting in deep blue waters. Since its discovery in the 1980s, it has been the center of a passionate debate. Are we looking at a masterpiece of natural erosion, or the sunken ruins of a civilization lost to a rising sea? The formation's features are undeniably striking. Vast flat surfaces meet at sharp 90-degree angles. What look like staircases ascend with unnerving regularity, and massive pillars stand apart from the main rock mass. Marine geologists point to the region's powerful tectonic activity, explaining that sandstone can fracture along natural plains, creating flat surfaces and blocks that appear man-made. The relentless ocean currents have certainly sculpted the stone for millennia, yet for many who have dived there, the sheer accumulation of geometric shapes feels intentional. The symmetrical layout, the seemingly carved channels, and the two prominent pillars that look like a giant gateway challenge a purely natural explanation. If human hands did carve this monument, the timeline is what truly rewrites history. For this structure to be above water, it would have to date back to a period when sea levels were dramatically lower. This places its potential construction at over 10,000 years ago, a time before the rise of any known complex society in Japan, deep in the pre-Jomon period. This is an era we have long imagined as populated only by small, nomadic groups of hunter-gatherers. The very idea that a culture capable of such large-scale stonework existed then shatters conventional timelines. Local legends from Yonaguni Island whisper of a sunken city, a place that vanished beneath the waves long ago. These stories, passed down through generations, give a haunting cultural context to the stone forms below. Furthermore, the monument's position is not isolated. Researchers note its potential alignment with other mysterious sites across the Pacific, suggesting it could be a crucial point in a vast, forgotten network. Was this a ceremonial center, a fortress, or a marker for ancient seafarers navigating a lost continent? The quiet, imposing presence of Yonaguni offers no easy answers, only profound questions. It expands the global stone grid deep into the Pacific Ocean, forcing us to consider that the oceans were not barriers, but highways, connecting continents and cultures in a forgotten age of exploration and monumental ambition. The silent, resonant chambers of Malta's hypogeum give way to a very different kind of mystery, one carved not into rock, but into the earth itself. In the rolling hills of Ohio, the Great Serpent Mound uncoils across the landscape for over 1,300 feet, a breathtaking effigy of a snake swallowing a giant egg. This is not a structure of stone but of soil and clay, built by the fort ancient culture nearly 1,000 years ago. Its inclusion in our global puzzle is essential, for it proves the grid is not just about material, but about a shared, profound intention. The precision here is not in stone joints, but in celestial alignment. The serpent's body aligns perfectly with the setting sun on the solstices, while its head points directly to the summer solstice sunrise. This was not a random drawing in the dirt. It was a colossal calendar and a sacred map of the heavens, created by people with a deep, sophisticated understanding of cosmic cycles. The location itself adds a layer of profound mystery. The mound was built directly on the site of a massive, ancient meteorite impact crater. Was this a coincidence, or was this unique geological feature, with its potential energy and symbolic power, deliberately chosen as a sacred point of connection between the earth and the sky? This choice echoes the patterns we have seen worldwide, where builders selected locations of exceptional power and presence for their monuments. Why pour such immense effort into shaping the land into this specific, sinuous form? The serpent is a near-universal symbol of creation, transformation, and the cycles of life and death. By mapping this powerful symbol onto the landscape and aligning it with the sun, the builders were encoding their entire world-view into the very ground they walked upon. The serpent mound demonstrates with stunning clarity that the global phenomenon we are tracing is not merely a stoneworking tradition. It is a universal language of earth and sky, a way of using the landscape to speak to the cosmos, a practice that spanned continents and mediums. This massive earthen serpent, silent under the Ohio sun, is a vital piece of the puzzle, whispering that the grid is not just what was built, but why it was built and what it was meant to say to the future. The silent, sprawling lines of the Karnak stones march across the French countryside like a petrified army. Over 3,000 individual standing stones, arranged in near-perfect parallel rows, stretch for miles along the coast of Brittany. This is not a single monument but a vast, open-air complex erected over 6,000 years ago, a project of staggering ambition that would have consumed generations. The stones themselves range from knee-high markers to pillars towering over 13 feet tall, their sheer numbers creating an overwhelming sense of order imposed upon the natural landscape. Local legend offers a mythical explanation, whispering that the stones are the remains of a Roman legion turned to rock by the enchantment of Merlin. While a captivating story, the truth of their purpose is a deeper archaeological puzzle. Researchers propose that these alignments functioned as a sophisticated territorial marker, a celestial calendar, or a sacred space for communal rituals. The rows are precisely oriented to the rising and setting sun during the solstices and equinoxes, transforming the entire site into a giant astronomical observatory carved into the earth. Some researchers have even speculated that the carefully placed stones could have functioned as a massive acoustic device, channeling sound in unusual ways, or that their arrangement was sensitive to subtle seismic shifts in the earth. The labor involved is almost incomprehensible. Consider the effort of Neolithic farmers, armed with only stone tools and sheer determination, quarrying these granite giants, moving them across the landscape without wheels or beasts of burden, and erecting them with exacting alignment. This was not the work of a scattered village, but of a highly organized, motivated society with a shared vision that spanned centuries. What profound spiritual belief or urgent practical need could compel such a sustained, monumental effort? Karnak stands as a powerful European pillar of the global stone grid, a silent testament to a unified ancient vision that connected humanity across continents through a common language of stone, sky, and earth. What knowledge of the world and of the cosmos did these early builders encode in these endless lines, waiting for us to finally understand? High on a mountainside in Peru's Sacred Valley, the fortress of Ollantaytambo stands as a monumental question carved in stone. Its colossal terraces climb the steep slopes like a staircase for giants, each level built from enormous blocks of red porphyry, a stone so hard it defies simple carving. Some of these stones weigh more than 50 tons, equivalent to a small herd of elephants, and their journey to this site is a mystery that baffles engineers to this day. The quarry from which they were cut lies on the opposite side of a deep valley and a raging river. How were these titanic blocks transported across such a formidable landscape and then lifted hundreds of feet up a near-vertical mountain face? The Inca are credited with its construction, yet they possessed no wheels, no pulleys, and no strong draft animals to accomplish such a feat. The logistics alone suggest a level of social organization and engineering genius that seems to border on the impossible. The stonework itself offers its own silent testimony. The blocks are not simply stacked, they are masterpieces of polygonal masonry, carved with complex, multi-angled faces that interlock with their neighbors in a three-dimensional puzzle. This intricate fitting, achieved without a single drop of mortar, has allowed the walls to withstand countless earthquakes, swaying and settling as a unified, resilient whole. The precision is not merely structural, it is also symbolic. Niches and windows are perfectly aligned with the sun's path, catching the light during the equinoxes and transforming the stone into a precise astronomical instrument. But perhaps the most profound genius of Ollantaytambo lies in what you cannot immediately see. The entire complex is a masterpiece of hydrological engineering, designed with a network of channels and conduits that control the flow of water and wind through the site with an almost intuitive understanding of natural forces. This was more than a fortress, it was a living machine harmonizing with the very climate of the valley. Local myths, however, introduce a familiar and haunting refrain. They tell that the foundational Cyclopean walls were not built by the Inca, but by a race of gods or ancient beings who assembled the structures in a single night. This story echoes what we have heard at Sacsayhuaman and across the globe, a persistent whisper that the original masters of the stone grid were a people lost to time. Was Ollantaytambo a defensive stronghold, a ceremonial center, or an advanced academy for understanding earth and sky? Its true primary function remains shrouded in the Andean mist, a powerful reminder that the limits of ancient technology and organization were far, far greater than we have ever supposed. A field of ordinary-looking boulders in Pennsylvania holds an extraordinary secret. When struck with a simple hammer, these stones do not produce a dull thud. Instead, they ring out with a clear, metallic chime, a chorus of otherworldly music from solid rock. This is the Ringing Rocks Park in Bucks County, a geological anomaly that resonates with the acoustic mysteries we have encountered across the globe. The rocks themselves are diabase, a dense volcanic formation. Geologists explain that their unique sonic property comes from internal stress and a specific crystalline structure, allowing them to vibrate like a bell when hit. Yet the scientific explanation is only the beginning of the story. The arrangement of the boulders is not random. They form a sprawling field, a natural lithophone on a massive scale. This leads to a compelling question. Did the indigenous peoples of this land, the Lenape, recognize this site as something more than a curiosity? Their own oral traditions speak of the rocks as the petrified remains of a great giant, a story that echoes the themes of transformation and power we have heard elsewhere. It is not difficult to imagine this place as a sacred sanctuary where the very landscape could be played like an instrument. Perhaps it was used for ritualistic music, for communication across distances, or for forms of sound-based practice that sought harmony and healing. The specific frequencies produced by the stones, a spectrum of tones rather than a single note, could have been harnessed to create a powerful, immersive sonic environment. This site forces us to expand our definition of the global grid. It may not have been a network of sight alone, connecting points through visual alignments with the sun and stars. It could have also been a vibrational network, a web of places where the Earth itself resonated with a unique energy. The ringing rocks of Pennsylvania stand as a powerful reminder that the ancient world was not silent. It was a landscape alive with sound, where the very stones could sing, and where our ancestors may have listened to and learned from the music of the planet itself. The great stone walls of Zimbabwe curve against the sky, a monumental ring of granite built to last for eternity. This is the Great Enclosure, a crowning achievement of the ancient Shona civilization, constructed between the 11th and 15th centuries. Its scale is breathtaking, with walls standing 11 meters high and stretching 250 meters in circumference, all assembled from precisely cut blocks fitted together without a single drop of mortar. Within this vast circle lies a profound mystery, a solid conical tower whose purpose has been debated for generations. Narrow, labyrinthine passageways twist through the complex, their walls aligned with the heavens. These are not random paths, but carefully engineered channels designed to frame the rising of specific stars and capture the first light of the equinox sun. This was a place where architecture met astronomy, a colossal stone calendar and observatory that governed the rhythms of life, from the planting of crops to the timing of royal ceremonies. The sophistication of its geometry reveals a deep, indigenous knowledge of the cosmos, a legacy that European colonists of the era could not accept. They invented fanciful stories of Phoenician or Arabian builders, refusing to believe that African hands could shape such grandeur. Modern archaeology has definitively silenced those claims, affirming the Shona people as the brilliant architects of their own history. So what sacred rituals filled this ceremonial space? The Great Enclosure was likely the spiritual and political heart of a powerful kingdom, a place where the authority of the ruler was intertwined with the cycles of the universe. Its inclusion in our global mystery is crucial, for it anchors the stone grid firmly in the southern hemisphere. This is not an isolated wonder, but part of that same universal human drive we have seen from Peru to Malta, a shared impulse to build in harmony with the stars. The silent, conical tower does not give up its secrets easily, but its very presence whispers that the language of stone and sky was spoken across the entire world. Out in the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean, a city of ghosts rises from a coral reef. Non-mortared, a labyrinth of 100 artificial islands built upon the water, is a marvel of engineering that defies its remote location. For centuries, the Sordelor dynasty ruled from this aquatic capital, a ceremonial and political hub where canals wove between islets like the streets of a sunken kingdom. Its walls are not made of typical blocks but of colossal basalt logs, each one a giant hexagonal or octagonal prism weighing up to 50 tons. These stone trunks were stacked in crisscrossing patterns, layer upon layer, to form immense, resilient barriers against the relentless ocean. The sheer scale of material moved here is staggering. The basalt was quarried from the other side of the island, and the mystery of how these massive logs were transported across miles of jungle and open water without metal tools, wheels, or large animals remains one of the great puzzles of the ancient world. The local oral tradition offers a solution that seems as plausible as any. The stories say the stones were not dragged or rolled, but were magically levitated into place by two powerful brothers who used the incantations of a great dragon. This legend of impossible movement echoes what we have heard at Ollantaytambo and Sacsayhuamon, a recurring theme of lost knowledge that borders on the supernatural. But the genius of non-mortared is not only in its construction, but in its design. The entire complex is precisely aligned with the stars and oriented to harness the natural flow of ocean currents, turning the canals into a self-flushing, navigable network. This reveals an advanced understanding of hydrodynamics and celestial navigation, a science written in stone and sea. So why go to such incredible effort to build a city on a reef, a place with no fresh water or natural soil for farming? This very choice suggests a profound purpose, perhaps to create a sacred space separate from the mundane world, a place of immense spiritual and political power that was literally set apart from the main island. Yet, this magnificent city was ultimately abandoned, and the reason remains a haunting mystery. Was it due to a sudden invasion, a dramatic shift in the social order, or an environmental change that made life on the reef unsustainable? The sudden silence of Nan Madol is as profound as its creation. This Pacific wonder is a unique and powerful expression of the global stone grid, proving that the drive to build in harmony with the forces of nature and to encode celestial knowledge into architecture was a universal human impulse, one that reached even the most remote islands of the deep ocean. High in the Caucasus Mountains, a silent city of stone awaits. Thousands of dolmens, ancient tombs built from colossal slabs, stand watch across the rugged ridges of Russia, Georgia, and Azerbaijan. Erected over 5,000 years ago, these structures share a hauntingly uniform design. Each one is a miniature chamber, a massive capstone balanced perfectly on upright supporting stones, often featuring a single, small, circular opening like a stone porthole. Their sheer numbers and consistent form point to a powerful, shared cultural tradition that once spanned this vast mountainous region. Yet, the local tribes who have lived here for millennia possess no stories of building them. These monuments were already ancient mysteries when our known history of the area begins, their true architects lost to the deep past. The logistics of their placement are a puzzle in themselves. How were these multi-ton stones quarried, transported, and then lifted into precise positions on these remote, high-altitude slopes, long before the invention of advanced machinery? The effort speaks of a society with incredible determination and a unified purpose, but the dolmens are more than just tombs. Their precise alignments reveal a deeper intention. Many are positioned to catch the first light of the solstice sun or the glow of a specific lunar phase, transforming these stone chambers into celestial markers. Step inside one and you encounter another layer of mystery. The enclosed space possesses a unique acoustic property where sound echoes and resonates with an unusual intensity. A simple whisper can be amplified, a chant transformed into something profound and otherworldly. This suggests these were not merely resting places for the departed, but sacred spaces for ritual, where the living could commune with forces beyond the everyday, perhaps using sound as a bridge to another realm. The Caucasian dolmens introduce a powerful new dimension to our global grid. Here, the network clearly connects the world of the living to the realm of the ancestors. This was a landscape meticulously mapped to honor the cycle of life and whatever lies beyond, a bridge between worlds built from stone and aligned with the heavens. What profound beliefs about the journey after life compelled this immense, mountainous effort? These silent stone sentinels offer no easy answer, only the enduring whisper that the grid was as much about the spirit as it was about the stars. Deep beneath the emerald canopy of the Amazon, a hidden geometry sleeps. Recent advances in laser scanning technology have pierced the dense rainforest veil, revealing a stunning secret etched into the earth itself. Vast enclosures, perfect circles, and straight lines running for miles have been mapped across the basin, all carved into the soil over 2,000 years ago. These are not structures of stone, but of earth, gigantic designs so precise they could only be the work of a sophisticated, organized society. The scale is almost beyond comprehension, with some earthworks spanning hundreds of meters across, a testament to a massive, coordinated labor force that completely reshaped the landscape. This discovery shatters the long-held myth of a pristine, untouched wilderness, revealing instead a forest that was, for millennia, a managed garden, a canvas for human ambition. What powerful cultures flourished here, imprinting such perfect squares and circles onto the jungle floor? The purpose of these colossal earthworks is a puzzle in itself. Researchers suggest they could have been ceremonial centers, spaces for gatherings that connected communities to the cosmos. Others see the outlines of defensive fortifications, or perhaps sophisticated astronomical markers, their shapes and alignments tracking the movements of the sun and stars. Their precise geometry reveals a masterful understanding of surveying and mathematics, a knowledge that allowed these ancient engineers to translate perfect forms onto an undulating, challenging terrain. This finding fundamentally expands our understanding of the global grid. It shows us that the pattern is not confined to stone. From the ringing rocks of Pennsylvania to the Serpent Mound of Ohio, and now to the geometric earthworks of the Amazon, we see the same universal drive to reshape the world into a place of meaning, order, and celestial connection. The true extent of this lost Amazonian civilization remains unknown, its history buried not under sand, but under 1,000 years of leaf litter and soil. The silent, geometric lines hidden in the world's largest rainforest are a powerful reminder that the ancient grid is far more extensive than we ever dreamed, and that the greatest chapters of our human story may still be lying in plain sight, waiting for the light to reveal them. This same drive for celestial alignment appears in the heart of an unforgiving desert. Scattered across the vast sands of Saudi Arabia, particularly near Al-Ula, stand enigmatic stone formations known as mustatils. These are not towering monuments, but long, low rectangular platforms built from sandstone slabs over 7,000 years ago, during a time when this harsh landscape was a greener, more hospitable grassland. The name mustatil itself means rectangle in Arabic, a simple description for structures of profound mystery. Some of these geometric designs stretch for over 600 meters, their walls tracing perfect lines across the desert floor, a feat of surveying that seems to defy the capabilities of the nomadic peoples who roamed there. The sheer scale of the longest mustatils is difficult to grasp from the ground, their full form only becoming clear from the air, revealing an ancient blueprint written in stone. What compelling purpose could have united scattered communities to undertake such a massive, coordinated effort in such a challenging environment? The answer appears to be written in the stars. Researchers have discovered that many of these mustatils are precisely aligned with celestial events, their long axes pointing toward the horizon where the star Sirius would have risen. This brilliant star held immense significance for many ancient cultures, often associated with seasonal changes and the arrival of vital rains. By building these structures as permanent astronomical markers, the desert dwellers were anchoring their rituals and their calendar to the most reliable clock they had, the cosmos itself. Recent excavations have deepened the ritual connection, uncovering central chambers within the platforms that contained curated deposits of animal horns and skulls, particularly from cattle. These were not casual leftovers from a meal, but deliberate offerings, suggesting this was a place of communal gathering and ceremonial practice, possibly involving a form of ritual sacrifice to appeal to higher powers for fertility or rain. The incredible consistency in design, found across hundreds of thousands of square kilometers, points to a shared religious belief or cultural practice so powerful it unified disparate groups across a vast territory. This was a sacred geography, a network of faith etched into the desert stone. The mustartills of Arabia are a powerful new piece of our global puzzle. They prove that the grid was not confined to fertile river valleys or coastal regions. Even in the most arid and demanding environments, ancient humans felt a universal compulsion to transform their landscape with geometric precision, to build permanent portals to the heavens, and to encode their deepest beliefs into the very earth beneath their feet. What profound, unifying vision of the world compelled these desert architects, and what happened to the belief system that once bound them together across the endless sands? Across the savannas of Senegal and Gambia, a silent assembly of stone circles stands in perfect tribute. These are the Senegambian stone circles, hundreds of rings built over nearly 2 millennia to honor kings and chieftains. Each circle is a masterpiece of precision, constructed from towering laterite pillars crowned with heavy capstones. These monuments are not random arrangements. The pillars are aligned with the rising and setting of the sun and moon, transforming a funerary landscape into a vast, open-air astronomical observatory. The builders, ancestors of the Sura people, quarried the stone using iron tools, but the greater mystery lies in the logistics. How did they move pillars weighing several tons across the landscape and erect them with such exacting alignment, all without modern machinery? The oral histories passed down through generations offer a familiar and profound explanation. The local traditions state that these circles were not built by ordinary people, but by a previous race of giants or by the very first humans, beings of immense power and knowledge. This story, echoing tales from Peru to the Caucasus, suggests that when the Sura people inherited this land, the knowledge behind these monuments was already ancient. Why pour such immense, sustained effort into funerary monuments? The answer lies in the stone's celestial dialogue. This was not merely about marking a resting place. It was about permanently connecting the legacy of a leader to the eternal cycles of the cosmos, ensuring their spirit remained part of the universal order. The site remains a deeply sacred space today, a living link to a world view where the earthly and the heavenly are forever intertwined. The aligned circles of West Africa deliver a powerful final piece of evidence. This drive to build in stone, to encode astronomical knowledge into the earth, and to honor the past through monumental geometry is not an isolated cultural fluke. It is a shared human heritage, a universal language spoken from the deserts of Arabia to the coast of Gambia, binding our ancient world together in a silent, stone testament to a common vision. Beneath the murky waters of India's Gulf of Combat, a sunken city sleeps. Advanced sonar imaging has mapped a sprawling, grid-like pattern of foundations, suggesting the outlines of buildings, wide streets, and what appears to be a massive granary, all resting at a depth of over 100 feet. The sheer scale and organized layout point to a sophisticated urban center, a place that once teemed with life. The artifacts brought up from the silt are even more revealing. Pieces of pottery and stone tools recovered from the site have been subjected to controversial dating methods, which point to an astonishing age of around 9,500 years. If these dates hold, this city would be thousands of years older than the great Indus Valley civilization, long considered the cradle of South Asian urban life. This single discovery threatens to tear up the established timeline of human history, pushing the dawn of complex society into a much deeper, more mysterious past. How could a culture capable of city planning and large-scale construction have existed so long ago? The most logical explanation is also the most dramatic. This land was above water during the last ice age, when global sea levels were significantly lower. The structures were submerged when the glaciers melted, a catastrophic rise in ocean levels that would have swallowed entire coastlines and the civilizations built upon them. This event aligns perfectly with local legends that have been passed down for generations. Hindu texts and oral traditions speak vividly of the ancient, glorious city of Dwarka, a kingdom of great power and wealth that was eventually consumed by the sea. The grid pattern of the underwater ruins bears a striking resemblance to the planned layouts of other ancient cities we have encountered across the globe, from the Indus Valley to distant Mesopotamia. This is not a random collection of rocks, it is the ghost of a metropolis. Could the Gulf of Combat be the physical proof of a lost chapter, a civilization that contributed its knowledge and architectural principles to a global network before being erased by the waves? The silent, submerged ruins do not just challenge our history books, they invite us to consider a world where advanced cultures rose and fell in a forgotten age, leaving only these cryptic, waterlogged clues to their existence. What knowledge of urban planning, astronomy, and society was lost when this city sank, and how does its story reshape our understanding of humanity's long journey? These silent stone sentinels of Tia stand in quiet rows across the Ethiopian highlands. 36 carved stelae, some towering over 2 meters tall, form a disciplined array that speaks a language of symbols we can no longer fully translate. Etched into their surfaces are enigmatic engravings, swords with distinct pommels, and what appear to be branching, plant-like forms. The uniformity of these carvings across all the stones points to a powerful, shared cultural language among the Sidama people who created them between the 10th and 15th centuries. This was not a haphazard collection of markers. The stones are arranged in precise, linear rows, a deliberate geometric pattern laid upon the landscape with clear intention. While many of these monoliths are believed to mark the final resting places of revered individuals, perhaps mighty warriors or respected leaders, their purpose seems to reach beyond mere memorials. The orderly alignment of the rows themselves invites a deeper question. Were these stones positioned to mirror the celestial order above, their lines pointing toward the rising of a significant star or the path of the sun during a solstice? The sophistication of the carvings reveals a masterful control over hard stone, while the geometric precision of the layout suggests an advanced understanding of surveying and spatial harmony. This is the stone grid expressing itself through a new medium, not with interlocking blocks, but with aligned and inscribed monoliths. Each symbol, each carefully placed stone, is a word in a lost story, a narrative of power, belief, and connection to the cosmos that we can only partially glimpse. Why choose this specific language of swords and plants to accompany the departed? What great events or profound beliefs were deemed important enough to be rendered permanent in such enduring form? Tia stands as a powerful African pillar in our global mystery, a testament to the universal human drive to communicate across generations, not with ephemeral words, but with the timeless voice of stone itself. Etched into the stark, arid plains of southern Peru, a colossal spider, a hummingbird with wings outstretched, and a spiral-tailed monkey exist on a scale that defies human perspective. These are the Nazca Lines, a gallery of giant geoglyphs so vast they can only be truly comprehended from the sky. Created by the Nazca people over a 1,000-year period, these images were not built upward but revealed by a subtractive process. Artists carefully removed the dark, sun-baked pebbles coating the desert floor to expose the lighter, sandy soil beneath, creating stark, contrasting lines that have endured for millennia thanks to the region's uniquely windless and dry climate. The precision of these formations is breathtaking. A single straight line can run for miles without deviating, and the curves of a giant condor are rendered with a draftsman's smooth perfection. This raises an immediate and practical question. How did a culture without flight achieve such scale and accuracy? the answer likely lies in sophisticated, yet elegantly simple surveying techniques. Using a series of stakes and ropes, and perhaps a fundamental understanding of geometric principles, they could have scaled up smaller models into these monumental earth drawings. The true haunting mystery is not how they did it, but why. What profound need drove them to transform hundreds of square miles of desert into a permanent, two-dimensional canvas? The theories are as varied as the glyphs themselves. Some researchers see a massive astronomical calendar, with the lines pointing to celestial events like solstice sunrises. Others interpret them as sacred pathways, walked during rituals to invoke life-giving water from the deities in a land where rain was a precious and rare gift. The more speculative have even proposed them as signals to gods from the sky. The most compelling explanation, however, may be the simplest. The Nazca lines represent a monumental act of communication with the cosmos itself. They are a prayer made visible, a mapping of spiritual beliefs and important natural symbols onto the very skin of the earth, a desperate and beautiful attempt to bring order and meaning to a powerful, arid world. This vast desert artwork is the ultimate expression of a theme we have seen worldwide. It is the global stone grid rendered not in 3 dimensions, but in 2. It proves that the ancient mind was not just thinking in terms of walls and towers, but in vast geometric designs, using the planet itself as their medium. What does it say about a culture that invested centuries of labor into creating art they themselves could never fully see? It speaks of a faith so powerful and a vision so grand that the only audience worthy of it was the sky above. Across the misty moors of Dartmoor, avenues of stone march in silent procession. The Merivale Rows are just one example among many, a network of Neolithic and Bronze Age alignments that crisscross the British Isles from the Scottish Highlands to the tip of Cornwall. These are not the more famous circles, but long, disciplined lines of standing stones, sometimes running for hundreds of feet, creating avenues that seem to channel the very landscape itself. Many of these rows lead purposefully toward burial cairns or circular enclosures, suggesting a sacred pathway, a processional route for ceremonies that connected the world of the living with the realm of the ancestors. The stones themselves are often modest in height, yet their power lies in their collective arrangement, a geometric statement of order imposed upon the wild, untamed earth. How were these patterns conceived and executed with such exacting precision? The builders likely possessed only stone mauls and antler picks, relying on the immense power of communal labor and a shared, unwavering vision. The true genius, however, is not in the manual labor, but in the celestial knowledge encoded within the granite. These rows are not randomly placed. Many are meticulously aligned to capture the extreme rising and setting points of the moon during its long 18.6-year cycle, known as a lunar standstill, or to frame the sun on a solstice. This reveals a society engaged in patient, multi-generational observation of the heavens, recording cycles so long they would not be fully comprehended within a single lifetime. What profound ceremonies unfolded along these stone-lined paths? We can envision processions moving slowly between the stones, perhaps during the twilight of a midwinter sunrise, their rituals synchronizing human activity with the grand, cosmic clockwork above. Local folklore, as always, offers a mythic lens. The people of the moors did not claim to have built these rows. They told stories of giants turned to stone, or of saints and mythical kings who laid down the avenues with a wave of their hand. These tales, passed down for thousands of years, speak to the deep cultural awe these sites inspired, monuments so ancient that their origins had already faded into legend when our recorded history began. The aligned stone rows of Britain are a vital piece of the European grid, a clear and powerful declaration that our ancestors saw the land not as separate from the sky, but as a single, integrated canvas. They were mapping a sacred relationship, using stone and alignment to weave the cycles of the cosmos directly into the fabric of their world. What understanding of time, spirit, and our place in the universe was walked into existence along those silent stone pathways? On a remote speck of land in the vast Pacific, the stone giants of Easter Island face away from the sea. These are the moai, silent sentinels carved from the rock of a single volcanic crater. Their enormous, elongated heads and solemn features gaze inland, as if watching over the living descendants of their creators, the Rapa Nui people. To stand before them is to feel the weight of a profound mystery, one that speaks directly to the global stone grid. How did a small, isolated society with limited resources produce nearly 1,000 of these colossal statues, some weighing as much as 82 tons? The process itself was a monumental undertaking. The moai were painstakingly carved from compressed volcanic ash using simple stone hand chisels, a testament to generations of patient, skilled labor. But the true engineering marvel was their journey. Once freed from the quarry, these multi-ton giants were transported miles across the island's rugged terrain. Researchers believe this was accomplished with a sophisticated system of log rollers, ropes, and the coordinated strength of hundreds of people, a feat of social organization as impressive as the statues themselves. The moai were not meant to stand alone. They were placed upon massive stone platforms called ahu, which served as ceremonial centers and clan burial sites. This entire arrangement was part of a larger, intricate cultural landscape. The island is dotted with the remains of stone houses, elaborate gardens, and thousands of petroglyphs, all laid out in a pattern that likely mapped clan territories and expressed a deep veneration for ancestors. The moai themselves are believed to be the embodiments of these powerful forebears, their watchful presence a permanent claim to lineage and authority. This drive to monumentalize, to reshape the landscape in honor of the past, is a powerful echo of the same impulse we have seen from the Caucasus to Cambodia. Yet the story of Easter Island holds a sobering lesson. The very ambition that produced these wonders may have contributed to a societal collapse. The theory suggests that the intense resource consumption, particularly the deforestation needed for transporting the moai, led to environmental devastation, triggering conflict and hardship. This narrative, while simplified, reminds us that the human relationship with our environment is delicate. The silent moai stand as a poignant Polynesian pillar in our global mystery, a breathtaking testament to human ingenuity and the universal, powerful desire to leave a mark that outlasts the generations. They are a final, haunting question carved in stone, challenging us to consider the balance between ambition and sustainability, and the legacies we choose to build. A simple pile of stones in the desert can hold the weight of an entire cosmos. Scattered across the vast, sun-scorched landscapes of the American Southwest, countless cairns rise from the earth. Built by indigenous peoples like the Navajo and Hopi, these carefully stacked rocks are far more than random heaps. They are the punctuation marks in a silent, sprawling story written across the land. Each one served a vital purpose, guiding travelers across treacherous terrain, marking a source of precious water, or signifying a final resting place. Yet their true significance unfolds when you see them not as isolated points, but as part of a connected whole. They form a network, linking villages to sacred mountains and ritual spaces to the heavens above. This is the stone grid expressed in its most elemental form. Some of these cairns were arranged in deliberate lines or geometric patterns, their positions carefully chosen to frame the rising sun on the solstice. A pile of stones built by hand becomes a sophisticated astronomical instrument, marking the turning of the year with silent, immovable certainty. Why pour such profound meaning into simple stone piles? The answer lies in a worldview where every rock, every mountain, and every spring is alive with spirit. The cairns were a way of conversing with the landscape, of weaving human presence into the sacred geography of the world. They transformed a potentially hostile desert into a known, meaningful, and holy place. This was not an act of conquering nature, but of collaborating with it, of acknowledging a deep, reciprocal relationship between people and place. The stories embedded in these stones speak of journeys, both physical and spiritual, and of a people so attuned to their environment that they could read the stars in the alignment of a trail marker. This reveals a crucial truth about the global grid we have been tracing. It does not always require the colossal engineering of Sacsayhuaman or the perfect spheres of Costa Rica. Sometimes the most powerful network is woven from countless small, intentional acts, a cumulative testament to a shared vision that maps the spirit onto the very bones of the earth. What profound understanding of belonging and connection is encoded in these humble stone piles, waiting for us to learn how to read it. Beneath the sun-baked plains of Cappadocia, a hidden world descends into the earth. This volcanic landscape is honeycombed with entire subterranean cities, vast multi-level complexes carved from the soft, tough rock. Places like Derinkuyu and Kaymakli are not simple caves but astonishing feats of underground engineering, reaching depths of 18 stories and capable of sheltering thousands of people. Here you find not just rooms but entire stone churches, stables, wine presses, and communal kitchens, all connected by a labyrinth of tunnels that could be sealed off from the outside world with massive, wheel-shaped stone doors. The genius of these cities lies in their practical design. Ancient engineers carved over 50 sophisticated ventilation shafts, ensuring a constant supply of fresh air to the deepest levels, while hidden wells tapped into underground water sources to sustain life during long periods of isolation. The tunnels themselves were designed with defensive cunning, often low and narrow, forcing any potential invaders to crouch and enter single file, making them vulnerable. While early Christians used these cities as refuges from persecution, their origins are far older, with evidence pointing to the Hittites and other ancient peoples as the first excavators. What profound threats prompted generations to invest such immense effort in carving a world beneath their feet? The answer speaks to a universal human need for safety. These were not merely hideouts, but resilient communities designed to endure, complete with everything needed for society to continue underground. The existence of long tunnels connecting different cities reveals a coordinated network of refuge, a subterranean grid of survival. This expands our understanding of the global stone network dramatically. It shows that the ancient drive to reshape stone was not only about reaching for the sky or marking the land with celestial alignments. It was also about turning inward, using the earth itself as a shield. The silent, sprawling cities of Cappadocia challenge us to look down, reminding us that some of humanity's most profound architectural achievements were not built to be seen, but to remain hidden, protecting the fragile flame of community through times of unimaginable peril. What knowledge of geology, mechanics, and communal living was preserved in these deep, dark halls, and how does this hidden chapter of urban planning reshape our view of ancient resilience? Across the endless blue of the Pacific, sacred stone platforms rise from the shores of isolated islands. From the great heiau of Hawaii to the community mari of Tahiti, these structures form an oceanic network of ceremonial power. Built with immense dry stone blocks fitted together with masterful precision, They required no mortar to withstand the test of time and tide. Each platform was far more than a simple altar. It was the spiritual and political heart of the community, a place where chiefs communed with the gods, laws were proclaimed, and the movements of the stars were carefully observed to guide the rhythms of life. The stones themselves were often aligned with celestial events, their corners pointing to the rise of certain stars that these master navigators used to sail across thousands of miles of open ocean. How did such a sophisticated understanding of stoneworking and astronomy appear on islands separated by such vast, empty waters? The answer lies in the incredible voyages of the Polynesian people themselves. These were not isolated cultures but part of a vast, interconnected world. They carried more than just supplies in their great double-hulled canoes. They transported an entire cultural blueprint, a shared set of architectural and spiritual principles that they implanted on every new shore they settled. The skilled artisans who built these platforms possessed a profound knowledge of geometry and an intuitive feel for the land, choosing sites of immense natural power and orienting them to harness the energies of both sea and sky. This was a sacred geography written in stone, binding distant islands into a single family through shared ritual and a common vision of the cosmos. The Mari of Polynesia stand as a powerful, living testament to the human spirit's drive to create order and meaning, proving that even the world's greatest ocean was not a barrier, but a highway for ideas, connecting a grid of faith and stone across the heart of the Pacific. Across the vast, sun-baked plains of the Australian outback, a different kind of stone grid emerges, one woven into the very fabric of the land by the world's oldest continuous culture. Aboriginal Australians created intricate arrangements of stone, from perfect circles and long, snaking lines to the unmistakable shapes of emus and other ancestral beings. These were not monuments built to dominate the landscape, but rather to converse with it, serving as open-air classrooms, ceremonial stages, and sophisticated astronomical observatories. The Wurdi Yuang stone arrangement in Victoria is a stunning example, an egg-shaped ring of carefully placed basalt stones where key points align precisely with the setting sun during the solstices and equinoxes. This was a permanent calendar carved into the earth, its knowledge allowing communities to track the seasons and understand the cyclical nature of time itself. The stones were often laid out in patterns that narrated dreamtime stories, the epic tales of creation, mapping the sacred geography of the world and encoding law and lore into a form that could be seen and touched. How did nomadic peoples who moved with the rhythms of the land maintain and pass down the precise knowledge required to build and use these arrangements across countless generations? The answer lies in a profound and continuous oral tradition, where knowledge was not written on paper but sung and danced into memory, with each stone serving as a mnemonic trigger for a songline or a chapter of ancestral wisdom. These sites show that the global stone grid is not a blueprint imposed from a single source, but a universal human expression, a shared impulse to find meaning and order in the cosmos, adapted with breathtaking ingenuity to local environments and spiritual beliefs. The Australian arrangements stand as a powerful testament that indigenous knowledge systems hold vital keys to understanding these ancient patterns, revealing a deep, enduring connection to country that has mapped the stars onto the stones for thousands of years. High in the thin air of the Italian Alps, ancient artists carved their world into stone. Surrounding Mount Bigot, a landscape of granite is covered with thousands of engravings, a vast outdoor gallery created over 4,000 years ago during the Bronze Age. These are not random scratches, but deliberate depictions of weapons with intricate details, horned cattle, and complex geometric patterns like spirals and sunbursts. The sheer volume of this Rupestrian art is staggering, but the true mystery deepens when you step back. The individual carvings are often organized within larger alignments of stone walls and structures, arranged in clear lines across the mountainside. Researchers have observed that many of these long stone rows point directly toward the rising sun on the solstices or track the path of the moon. This was not casual decoration. It was a high-altitude celestial calendar, a way for a pastoral community to mark the turning seasons that dictated their survival, signaling when to move their herds to summer pastures and when to return to the valleys. Why would these early herders expend such immense effort at such a high, challenging altitude? The carvings were likely central to their seasonal rituals, a form of communication with the forces of nature they depended upon. The consistent symbols used across a wide region suggest a shared cultural language, a unified way of seeing the world that connected scattered alpine communities. Yet, the identity of the individual artists is completely lost to us, their names and specific stories erased by millennia of silent snowfall. The aligned walls of the Italian Alps powerfully extend the global stone grid into some of Europe's most rugged terrain. They prove that the drive to inscribe meaning onto the landscape, to create a permanent record of one's beliefs and connection to the cosmos, was not deterred by harsh environments. This was a sacred network written in rock, a high-altitude testament to a universal human need to mark our place in the world, no matter how steep the path. High on the Andean plateau, the deep blue waters of Lake Titicaca hold a secret beneath their surface. Here, at an altitude that leaves visitors breathless, underwater archaeologists have mapped extensive stone structures, walls, and terraces that sink into the lake's depth. These are not random rock formations, but the deliberate architecture of a lost world, potentially built by the Tiwanaku culture or a civilization that predates even them. The ruins, discovered near the sacred island of the sun, include carefully carved blocks and ceremonial platforms that align with the lake's natural geography. Their positions are not accidental. Many are oriented to frame the rising of the Pleiades star cluster, an event of immense importance to the local people that marked the start of the agricultural cycle. This celestial connection transforms the submerged site from a simple ruin into a sophisticated observatory, a place where the earth, water, and sky were woven together into a single sacred tapestry. How did builders working at this extreme elevation with its thin air and harsh climate manage to quarry, transport, and precisely position such heavy stone? The logistical challenges are staggering, pointing to a society with profound engineering knowledge and a highly organized labor force. The local Aymara people have stories that resonate deeply with these underwater discoveries. They speak of a magnificent city called Wanaku, a place of great power and knowledge that was swallowed by the lake in a time of great change. This legend is not an isolated tale. It echoes the narratives of sunken lands we have encountered from the Bahamas to Japan, a recurring theme of a world reshaped by water. The construction itself reveals an advanced understanding of hydrology, suggesting the builders knew how to manage water levels and perhaps even incorporated the lake's rise into their long-term plans. What event caused these structures to be fully submerged? Was it a gradual rise in the lake's level over centuries, or a sudden, catastrophic geological shift? The silent, sunken stones offer no easy answer. The Lake Titicaca megaliths add a crucial, aquatic dimension to our global puzzle. They prove that ancient cultures did not see water as a barrier, but as a sacred element, an integral part of their ceremonial landscapes. This forces us to consider how many other key pieces of this planet-spanning grid now lie hidden beneath the waves, their stories waiting to be rediscovered in the silent, watery dark. Along the stark, windswept shores of the Baltic Sea, the stone grid takes a winding, introspective turn. Here, on remote islands and quiet coastlines, ancient labyrinths are laid out upon the earth. These are not towering walls or standing stones, but intricate circular mazes painstakingly assembled from countless small, dark rocks. Built by Nordic and Slavic peoples centuries ago, their coiled paths spiral inward toward a center and back out again, a geometric journey etched into the ground. Their purpose was beautifully dual, blending the deeply practical with the profoundly spiritual. For some coastal communities, these patterns were tangible tools, their designs believed to magically entice fish into waiting nets, guiding the bounty of the sea toward the hands of the fishermen. Yet their primary function was clearly mystical. Walking the narrow, winding path was a form of ritual meditation, a symbolic voyage to a spiritual center and a safe return, perhaps representing the difficult journey of the soul after life or a pilgrim's quest for inner clarity. The labyrinths were not placed at random. Their builders deliberately aligned them with coastal landmarks, placing them at the threshold between the known land and the vast, unpredictable sea. This careful positioning suggests they also served as protective charms, their complex geometry a shield against the dangers of storms, shipwrecks, or malevolent spirits that might emerge from the deep. Why would this specific symbol appear so consistently across such a wide maritime region? The labyrinth was a shared spiritual language for the peoples of the Baltic, a unifying geometric idea carried by sailors and traders across the cold waters. It demonstrates that the global grid is not only about observing the cosmos, but also about navigating the inner landscapes of the human spirit. These quiet stone circles are a northern whisper of the same universal theme, a reminder that our ancestors used the simple, enduring medium of stone to map both the world they saw and the mysteries they felt within. Perched on the very edge of Europe, where the Atlantic waves shatter against sheer cliffs, the stone forts of the Aran Islands stand as a final, defiant outpost. Dun Eanghosa is the most dramatic, a semicircle of colossal dry stone walls that seems to grow directly from the cliff face, its open side dropping 300 feet to the roaring ocean below. Built over 2,000 years ago during the Iron Age, this was far more than a simple defensive barrier. The fort's design is a masterpiece of layered protection, featuring multiple concentric walls, the outermost one flanked by a brutal defensive zone known as a cheval de frise. This was a deadly field of thousands of sharp, upright limestone spikes set into the ground, designed to shred the feet of attackers and break any organized charge. The sophistication of this military architecture is startling, revealing a society that understood not only warfare but also complex landscape engineering on a grand scale. How did a small island community with limited resources accomplish such a feat? The stones themselves are the local cast limestone, quarried from the island's own bedrock. The true marvel lies in the movement and placement of these multi-ton blocks, lifted and fitted together without mortar, yet so precise that the walls have withstood centuries of Atlantic gales. The labor required to build these terraced ramparts would have consumed the entire community for generations, a unified effort that speaks to a powerful, shared purpose. What threats could have been so severe to justify this immense investment in stone? The islands were likely a prized possession, a strategic hub controlling rich fishing grounds and vital trade routes along the wild western coast. The forts would have served as a sanctuary for people and livestock during times of conflict, a symbol of communal strength and resilience, but their function extended beyond mere defense. The positioning of Dun Eanghosa is profoundly celestial. The open side of the semicircle frames the vast expanse of the sky and sea, and researchers suggest its alignment may have captured the movements of the sun, moon, and stars, transforming the fortress into a grand observatory. This was a place where the community gathered not only for protection but perhaps for seasonal festivals, to mark the solstices, or to appeal to the powers of the ocean and sky. The Aran Island forts are a powerful fusion of the pragmatic and the spiritual. They represent the stone grid's defensive aspect, a formidable node in a network of ancient strongholds, yet they are utterly intertwined with their dramatic environment. They do not conquer the landscape but collaborate with it, using the cliffs and the sea as part of their design. In their silent, stoic presence, we see a society that mastered its world through stone, building not just against a threat, but for a future they hope to secure. Across the sweeping grasslands of Mongolia, the silence is broken by rows of ancient, standing stones. These are the deer stones, tall granite monoliths carved over 3,000 years ago by the nomadic cultures of the Bronze Age. Each stone is a vertical canvas etched with elegant, stylized images of leaping deer, their antlers flowing into intricate, swirling patterns across the rock. Alongside these graceful forms, you find carvings of belts, weapons, and tools, a symbolic toolkit for the journey beyond. These stones rarely stand alone. They are found in deliberate groups, often forming circles or lines, and are frequently aligned with nearby burial mounds, creating a sacred geography that connects the living to the memory of the honored departed. The uniformity of these carvings is astonishing. From one end of the vast steppe to the other, the same artistic language appears, a shared symbolic code that united disparate tribes across thousands of miles. This suggests a powerful, common belief system, a spiritual heritage that transcended the constant movement of nomadic life. Why would a culture defined by mobility invest such immense effort in these permanent stone sentinels? The answer lies in their need to anchor memory itself. For a people always on the move, these stones were fixed points of identity, eternal memorials for revered warriors or chieftains, ensuring their legacy would endure long after the camps had moved on. The true genius, however, is written in their alignment with the heavens. Many of these stone groupings are oriented to capture the first light of the solstice sun, or to frame the rising of significant stars. This celestial connection reveals a sophisticated astronomical knowledge, a way for the nomads to synchronize their seasonal migrations with the grand, predictable clockwork of the cosmos. The deer, with their upward leaping forms, may have been more than just beautiful animals. In the shamanic worldview that still echoes across the steppe, these creatures were seen as spiritual messengers, capable of bridging the earthly world and the sky. The stones themselves could have been seen as conduits for this celestial journey, a permanent ladder for the soul. How did these early herders, with only simple tools, achieve such precise alignments on this open, endless landscape? Their success speaks to a deep, patient observation of the sky, a knowledge passed down through generations around countless campfires. The deer stones of Mongolia are a powerful declaration that the global stone grid is not solely the work of settled, city-building cultures. Even those who lived in tents and followed their herds felt the universal human compulsion to mark the land, to speak to the stars, and to carve their beliefs into the most enduring material they knew. In these silent, carved witnesses, we see a nomadic network of memory and meaning, a ghostly map of spirit and sky written across the great, open grasslands. Beneath the sun-drenched waters of the Caribbean, a discovery so profound it defies easy classification rests in the crushing deep. Off the coast of Cuba's Guanahacoibes Peninsula, advanced sonar has mapped what appear to be geometric stone structures lying at a depth of over 600 meters. The images reveal startlingly symmetrical forms, including what look like pyramids and wide, circular plazas. all arranged in a layout that whispers of intelligent design. This is not a random scattering of rocks, it is a submerged landscape of apparent order and purpose, resting at a depth that seems to place it far beyond the reach of any known civilization. The immediate question is as unavoidable as it is controversial. Are we looking at a miraculous quirk of nature or the sunken ruins of a world we have forgotten? Geologists who favor a natural origin point to the power of tectonic shifts and underwater landslips, which can fracture sandstone into deceptively angular blocks. Yet the sheer consistency of the symmetry, the repetition of right angles and circular forms, presents a powerful counter-argument. The layout suggests a planned urban or ceremonial center, a pattern that nature rarely, if ever, creates with such precise repetition. The depth of the site is the key to its staggering implication. For these structures to be on dry land, they would have to date back to a period when sea levels were dramatically lower, a time during the last ice age over 10,000 years ago. This timeline does not simply challenge our history of the Caribbean, it shatters it, suggesting a human presence in the Americas thousands of years before the arrival of the cultures we recognize. This idea finds a haunting echo in the oral traditions of the local Taino people. Their myths speak vividly of a great deluge, a catastrophic flood sent by the gods that swallowed their most advanced cities and reshaped the world. These are not isolated stories, they are a cultural memory of loss, a narrative that resonates with flood legends found across the globe. Could the silent stones off the Cuban coast be the physical evidence of that legendary cataclysm? The site's potential connection to the broader stone grid is compelling. Its geometric language of pyramids and circles mirrors the sacred architecture we have seen from Egypt to Mesoamerica, suggesting a shared, ancient blueprint that may have spanned oceans. This discovery pushes the boundaries of our search into the deep ocean, forcing us to accept that the most significant chapters of the human story may not be buried in desert sands or hidden in jungles, but may lie submerged under thousands of feet of water, waiting in the silent, eternal dark for their story to be recovered. In the stark, sun-bleached landscapes of Jordan and Syria, another pattern emerges from the dust. Scattered across the arid highlands, low stone circles and cairns built by early pastoral societies stand as silent witnesses to a forgotten time. These are not the towering monuments of later empires, but the foundational gestures of the global grid, dating back to the very dawn of agriculture. At sites like the Big Circle at Jebel al-Mutawak, massive rings of stone, some hundreds of feet across, enclose central chambers and smaller structures. Their walls, though now low and weathered, trace perfect geometries on the earth, their openings and alignments carefully oriented to the sun and stars. Why would nomadic herders living in a challenging environment pour such communal effort into building these vast enclosures? The answer appears to be written in the sky. The circles are not randomly placed. Their precise orientations suggest they functioned as both a celestial calendar and a sacred gathering place. The rising of a particular star or the solstice sun would have been framed by an entrance or a specially placed stone, marking a time for seasonal migrations, for communal rituals, or for honoring the cycles of life and the world beyond. These were likely places of profound seasonal gathering where scattered clans would unite for ceremonies, to exchange knowledge, and to reaffirm their shared identity under the vast desert sky. The identity of the individual builders is lost to us, their names erased by millennia of wind and sand. Yet the incredible consistency of the circles found across the entire Levant points to a powerful, widespread cultural tradition, a unified vision that connected these early societies. What specific rituals were performed within these stone rings? We can envision communities gathering at these appointed times, the air filled with the sound of chanting and the scent of ceremonial fires, their practices intertwining the practical needs of survival with a deep celestial faith. The Levantine stone circles anchor our global mystery in the very cradle of civilization. They prove that the impulse to build in stone and to align our world with the cosmos is as ancient as the first seeds we planted. This region, so often studied for its later history, holds untold chapters in this deeper story, reminding us that the grid's origins are buried in the most fundamental layers of the human journey. Far to the north, where the sea meets the sky, the Orkney Islands hold a Neolithic masterpiece. The Ness of Brodgar is a sprawling complex of stone temples and halls, its walls adorned with a stunning secret. Builders here did not simply stack rocks, they painted with them, selecting stones of red and yellow and gray to craft colossal geometric mosaics across the surfaces of their sacred structures. These intricate patterns of zigzags, chevrons, and lozenges were carved over 5,000 years ago, a testament to a society that valued beauty as much as durability. The entire complex is a grand celestial instrument, its main axis aligned to capture the midwinter solstice sunset, while other features track the complex cycles of the moon. This was a place where architecture, art, and astronomy fused into a single expression of cosmic order. How did a remote island community develop such an advanced and artistic building tradition? The answer lies in the stones themselves, for the materials were sourced from across the archipelago, indicating a deep knowledge of their land and a highly organized labor force. Furthermore, discoveries of polished stone axes and other goods from distant parts of Britain suggest these islanders were not isolated. They were connected to a vast network of trade and ideas, sharing knowledge across the sea lanes of ancient Europe. The spiritual beliefs that inspired these symbolic motifs remain a profound mystery. Were the zigzag lines representations of water or the journey of the spirit? Did the concentric circles symbolize the sun, the moon, or the cycles of life and death? The decorative artistry of the Orkney mosaics adds a profound new layer to our understanding of the global stone grid. It reveals that the ancient builders' drive for celestial precision was perfectly matched by a desire to create breathtaking beauty. They were not merely engineers of stone, but philosophers and artists, encoding their worldview into colored patterns and solar alignments, crafting a legacy where function and sacred meaning were forever intertwined. Far out in the Atlantic Ocean, the volcanic peaks of the Canary Islands rise from the sea, a world apart. Here, the Guanches people built their own distinct chapter of the stone grid. They constructed ceremonial platforms known as tagora, open-air courts defined by low, dry stone walls where community elders would gather to make decisions and conduct rituals. The design was deliberate and symbolic, often circular or semicircular, with a central stone serving as an altar or a seat of authority. This was a physical manifestation of their social order, a place where governance and spirituality were intertwined under the open sky. The true genius of these platforms, however, lies in their precise placement. They were not situated randomly. A tagora was often carefully aligned with a dominant mountain peak or oriented to frame the rising of a significant star. This celestial connection reveals a culture deeply attuned to the cycles of the cosmos, using the heavens as a guide for both their ceremonies and their calendar. The Guanches developed this sophisticated tradition in profound isolation, separated from the African mainland by treacherous ocean currents. This raises a compelling question. How did they maintain and refine these megalithic practices for centuries without any apparent outside influence? Their isolation suggests that the drive to build in stone and align with the heavens is not a cultural trait that must be diffused from a single source. Instead, it appears to be a fundamental, almost instinctual human response to the world. The Guanches looked at the same mountains and stars as cultures on other continents, and they arrived at a similar conclusion: to mark their place in the universe with permanent stone structures. The Tagora were more than meeting places, they were anchors of identity in a vast ocean. In a society that valued communal harmony, these platforms provided a sacred space for resolving disputes, honoring ancestors, and reinforcing the bonds that held their community together. The platforms of the Canary Islands stand as a powerful testament to the adaptability of this ancient human impulse. They prove that the global stone grid was not a monolithic network, but a universal language spoken in countless local dialects. Even on the most isolated islands, humanity felt the same profound need to build with purpose, to connect their society to the land, and to weave their story into the fabric of the stars above. The deep, anoxic waters of the Black Sea guard a secret coastline. Far below the surface, sonar has traced the ghost of a landscape, a submerged world of river valleys and plains that once basked in the open air. Resting at depths of around 100 meters, this sunken terrain holds enigmatic formations, linear walls, and curious mounds that stand as silent questions on the seafloor. Their discovery points to a pivotal moment around 5,600 years before the Common Era, a time of dramatic environmental change when the rising Mediterranean Sea is believed to have burst through the Bosporus Strait. This event would have been a cataclysm of unimaginable scale, a roaring, relentless deluge that transformed a vast freshwater lake into the saltwater sea we know today, swallowing thousands of square miles of inhabited land in a geological instant. The central mystery is whether these stone structures are the work of natural forces, the product of underwater landslides and geological shifts, or the remnants of a lost Neolithic world. Could these lines and piles be the foundations of ancient settlements, the collapsed walls of early farming communities that thrived on this fertile land before the waters came? This possibility finds a powerful echo in the region's oldest stories. Cultures all around the Black Sea share legends of a great flood, narratives of a world cleansed by water that have been passed down for generations. These are not mere myths but cultural memories, a persistent whisper of a traumatic event that reshaped the human geography of the area. The unique chemistry of the Black Sea's depths offers a tantalizing hope for future discovery. The deep water is anoxic, meaning it lacks oxygen, a condition that can preserve organic materials like wood, tools, and even structures for thousands of years, as if frozen in time. This potential for preservation makes the site a time capsule of unparalleled importance. If human hands did shape those stones, what would their discovery mean for our understanding of the global stone grid? It would anchor this network firmly in a prehistoric European context, revealing a sophisticated, settled society that contributed its knowledge and architectural traditions before its world was erased by the sea. The investigation of this submerged landscape challenges us to expand our search into the hidden realms of our own planet. It suggests that some of the most significant pieces of our ancient puzzle do not lie in distant jungles or on remote mountaintops, but are waiting in the silent, lightless depths, forcing us to look beneath the waves to find the missing chapters of our shared human story. From the singing stones of Pennsylvania to the silent cities beneath India's waves, we have traced a web of stone around the world. This journey across 34 sites reveals a pattern so vast it rewrites our understanding of the ancient world. Each location, from the dizzying heights of the Andes to the remote islands of the Pacific, stands as a unique expression of human genius. Yet they are all bound by invisible threads, a shared language of geometry, a universal alignment with the stars, and a profound reverence for the earth itself. These are not the works of isolated, primitive cultures. They are the signatures of a humanity far more connected, far more ambitious, and far more knowledgeable than our history books have ever allowed. The precise fitting of stones without mortar, the careful orientation to solstice sunrises and lunar cycles, the transformation of entire landscapes into sacred calendars, these are not coincidences. They are the echoes of a shared purpose, a collective yearning to understand our place in the cosmos. Whether this knowledge was carried across oceans by forgotten explorers, arose independently from a common spiritual source, or was the legacy of a now vanished world, the conclusion is inescapable. Our past is deeper, richer, and far more mysterious than we have been taught. These stones challenge us to look at history not as a linear timeline, but as a living, breathing puzzle. Each monolithic wall, each carved sphere, each submerged road is a piece of that puzzle, waiting for its story to be heard. The true legacy of the global stone grid is not just in the stones themselves, but in the questions they force us to ask. What does it mean for our shared human story if we were once united by a common vision, a drive to build in harmony with the universe? The search for answers is far from over. New discoveries are made every year, and each one has the potential to shift our perspective once more. What other clues are lying in plain sight, hidden in a forgotten forest or resting on the deep ocean floor? Perhaps the next great discovery will not come from a team of archaeologists, but from you. What patterns will you notice in the world around you? The conversation continues, and your voice is a vital part of it. Share your own thoughts and theories in the comments below, and join us as we keep searching for the hidden connections that bind our world together.